First speaker today is Chuck Huber. He's got a great story to tell, and I'm sure you'll be entertained.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chuck Huber. I have 5 children: Sebastian, Gabriel, Sophia, Max, and Juliet. Start with the good news. This is just past 1 year now of expanded standard visitation with them. Please give me a round of applause for that. Prior to that, the first time I had my children kept from me was for 42 days, no contact. This was done legally. I'd never been arrested, never had the police called on me, never went to jail, never caught with drugs, never accused of any abuse. But my children were prevented from having any access to me for 42 days. I thought that was the harshest punishment I'd ever suffered. I regained some contact with them, and then the next stint of no contact was 414 days with no contact with 5 of my children. And this was done legally with the courts, through obstruction, through delay tactics. The family court system that HB 453 hopes to help correct, if it were not legal, in conjunction with CPS, would resemble a criminal organization that extorts money by torturing children, by taking children from their parents. But we're a peaceful group of people. We don't threaten. As a matter of fact, we're so peaceful, I believe that legislation should continue. I believe that federal reforms should continue. I think family court reform should continue. I think HB 453 should pass. But we're such a peaceful organization that I believe we should spend our energy also on prevention. And what I mean by prevention is keeping our children and people we know from ever having to face what we've faced in the family court system. To take away clients from family court lawyers. And the way you do that, or the way I came to realize how to do that, was I had to admit to myself that I was living a partial lie. I didn't think I was culpable for being prevented my children. I didn't think that I had responsibility in that. But the truth is, and the truth I've heard from many men and women in the situation where they're prevented from seeing their children, is that it all starts with one fact. And this is the fact I had to accept, and I will have to beg for forgiveness from my children for. And the fact is, I left home. Things were bad in the marriage, and in an effort to save the marriage, I left the home. And that is where our constitutional rights are most secure. We need to teach our children that they, in a divorce situation, in a separation situation, should never leave home. And to that end, I've written up an agreement that I believe might be helpful for couples considering marriage to prevent the family court system from getting a hold of them. And I call the agreement the 50-50 primary residence during dispute agreement, otherwise known as the nobody leaves home agreement. See, because we have a constitutional right that is taken from us with access to our children being prevented by family court systems, but there is a constitutional right that the family court system cannot touch, which would be a great impediment to their ability to deny us access to our children. And that right is our right to our home, our right to our primary residence. If we hold that right sacred, our children will be more likely to be with us if our marriage fails. This is the agreement as written so far. And what I envision for this agreement would be to bring it to pre-Cana groups, marriage counselors, large church groups, community organizations. Let them teach people considering marriage for the first time. 60% end in divorce. That newly married people should have a plan, should have a written agreement, a civil agreement, not a family court custody agreement, but a civil agreement as to how they're going to handle primary residency should there be an issue in the marriage. This is the agreement as written. Whereas the above parties primarily reside together and or intend primarily to reside together in the future, and whereas they have a desire for amicable dispute resolution, it is hereby mutually agreed that if at any time either party does not wish to reside concurrently in their primary residence located at fill in the blank, or any future primary residence, in respect of the mutual benefits and responsibilities of shared residency, neither party shall relinquish primary residency, and further, that party number one shall reside at the primary residence during odd number weeks of the year, and party two shall reside at the primary residence during even numbered weeks of the year, until both parties agree to reside concurrently again, or a subsequent lawfully executed agreement or order superseding this agreement has been signed by both parties. And this would be an agreement that married people sign at the beginning of a marriage. It's an agreement you would sign to say, if there is an issue in our house, which there is a 60% likelihood there will be, and that's a 60% likelihood of divorce, how many more, percentage-wise, have trouble that looks like it could lead to divorce and then save it? So the number's much higher than 60%. This would say that our plan, in the event that either one of us, not our plan, but our written, legally enforceable agreement that we choose as our divorce emergency plan, our marriage emergency safety net, is that we agree that one of us will leave the house for a week and then the other one comes back for a week. And what this does is, if that is the plan and that goes into effect, that's the baseline the family courts have to start with. And we all know that it starts with that baseline. If you have left your home and your children, you have already given up your rights. So the key is not only HB 453, the key is also education. Educating people who are getting married and telling them that, hey, you can sign an agreement that says this is how we will handle things when they get rough. It's my belief that laws will make things better in the family court system, but like most issues that are moral issues, compounded by profit-making immoral human beings, those issues are solved in a moral way. That's what I believe should be done. If anyone wants to help me do that, my email address is fireflyworks@gmail.com. I'm going to be contacting church groups, contacting pre-Cana organizations, finding any way to reach people who are thinking about getting married and promoting this idea that they can have a safety net, a plan, so that they never have to go through the types of divorce and the type of separation from children that some of us have had to endure. Thank you very much.